Okay, so last minute addition to NEMA September 2025. This thing came in just a couple days ago, and I want to make a video on it because it's still September. It is September 28th as of this recording. Unfortunately, despite my 4-pack from Age of the Primes that includes that animated Nemesis Prime supposedly being released on September 22nd, Pulse still could not be bothered to ship it to me, even though they did charge my card for it. So I'm just stuck waiting until that eventually, fingers crossed, actually gets shipped. But in the meantime, we do have this to look at, and this is, I don't know the name of this thing. It'll be the title of the video. It's essentially a very inexpensive knockoff of Earthrise Optimus Prime. Mechanically, it's basically the same figure. It's just oversized and a knockoff, and as you can clearly see, in Nemesis Prime colors. And also because this video is kind of last minute, that's why I'm not doing the fancy setup. But anyway, this is an interesting figure. I've wanted a Nemesis Colors version of the Earthrise mold, and this is technically that, but it's clearly not Earthrise Prime. For one thing, it doesn't have the gas canisters on the thighs. That is one pretty significant, or the most significant engineering difference on this thing. In terms of all the other engineering and transformation stuff, you don't have the flip-out knee pad things, and that's kind of it. Everything else functionally is basically the same. Stylistically, it is very different because this is supposed to be more like G1 styled, which is why you may notice it is not covered in greebles. It is actually fairly smooth all the way around. And it does, for what it is, look good, considering this is a, $15 to $20 if you get it directly off of AliExpress. I got mine through eBay, so it was like $35, which, whatever. Considering the price, it's fine that it's so basic in terms of deco. It's basically just black plastic with some light gray plastic, and then you get the silver for the rims, silver for the tiny gas canisters, and the smokestacks. And then in the front, you also get the fender and the stripe and everything like that, though the stripe does not continue around the side, which kind of sucks, but whatever. You get red windows. The red windows are separate inserts, thankfully, and you do get a matrix that does come out, but I'm not going to take it out because it's kind of annoying. What the heck? Let me contradict myself right at the start. There we go. There is the matrix. It is fine. It's big. It's only coppery on the one side for some reason, but it's there, and that just plugs into the middle there and closes up as you expect. So yeah, pretty bare bones. There is a Reaper label on the side. That is the byproduct of the seller on eBay. They put that label on there, which is fine. I don't mind it being there. And yeah, it's just Earthrise Prime's truck mode without the gas canisters coming out of the thighs in Nemesis colors, with some very small engineering changes, but mostly it's just not textured. It's meant to be more smooth because this is supposed to look like the cartoon design. However, there is one key difference, and that key difference is that this thing is absolutely enormous. This is the Siege mold, which is basically the same size as the Earthrise mold, and this thing is, again, it is absolutely enormous. Right before launching into this, just want to do the typical YouTube stuff. Got a coffee, got a Patreon, links to both at the end of the video. At the end of the video as well as down in the description. Otherwise, like, comment, share, subscribe also helps. Though, honestly, at this point, who knows if that helps, because the algorithm sure doesn't. Anyway, to transform this thing, it is very, very much the same as the Earthrise mold, with some very, very minor differences. So first off, I'm going to untab the wheels from the hips, and they tab in pretty securely. Also going to untab these little panels on the side here, which is very similar to how this normally works for the Earthrise figure. Come on. There we go. So just untab, untab, and untab. And now we can get the arms out, and these just shift out kind of pretty much the same way as they do for the Earthrise figure. Only difference is you don't have anything down in here or on the inside of the forearm that tabs into anything. These are held in place purely by friction and by these smaller panels on the side of the truck. Pop open this door, flip out the fist, close it back up, and there's one arm. And then other arm is the exact same deal, just bring it out and straighten it out. Open that up, flip out the fist, close it back up, there you go. Now, going to bring the legs down, now that the arms aren't in the way. And you want to split the legs, and the legs clip in actually very securely. So what I tend to do is just kind of grab around the entire chunk of each leg and just pull straight back rather than twisting in either direction. So just pull straight back, and they'll pop apart, and then unfold the toes, which do have both a heel and a front. And you also have to unlock the ankle articulation. What I find works is it's a tab that's going towards the outside that's clipped into here. So you kind of want to reach under here and pull out slightly as you, well, not pull out, but you're kind of like applying pressure this way while pulling down. And that allows this to pop out a little bit easier than if you were to just pull straight down. Now for the upper body, it is again very similar to the Earthrise mold. Just want to pop this open so we can rotate the head out. And this swings out, and this will come back in and tab into the back of the neck plate. And then the front section will untab from the midsection, and also the grill will kind of untab from the bumper. And this all folds up and around. Do the Earthrise Prime thing and fold in all the doors. Fold this in, fold that in, and then this comes back down, and these will clip over these little tabs on the midsection and clip down. And then the midriff pieces fold out, rotate the waist 180 degrees, because when this is rotated up, you don't quite have the same amount of clearance. But then rotate this up, fold the wheels in, and that is just about it. There's one more thing that needs to be done. Have a seat. You'll notice the antennae are actually pointed forward a bit, because these antennae are actually a bit longer than the default head. So just rotate those up, and that's it. And there we have whatever this is, knockoff of Earthrise Nemesis Prime now. This is just the Earthrise Prime figure, again with some very, very minor changes, and the much smoother molding, trying to make it look more G1 rather than Earthrise. There is one also key difference with this versus the version of this figure that anyone else might get, and that is the ab sections here you can see are... There we go. The ab sections here are in black. The eBay seller did some minor customizing with I think it was just like an acrylic paint pen or something like that, to paint these. You can actually see like a little scratch there, which is fine. But they painted these bits up in black, because normally these things are just the silver color all the way through, because this midriff piece with the grill and everything is one big die-cast chunk. And because it's a big die-cast chunk, the company that is making this thing, did make this thing, they didn't bother to do any painting. So this would normally just be, like this whole thing would be all this silver color. So I do think having the black in the midriff definitely helps with that aesthetic. Here is basically just cartoonified and very large G1 Nemesis Prime. And it's cool, and a little too big for my taste. I mean, it's fine, I'm gonna keep him, but like, I either have to completely rearrange my Nemesis shelves again, which I just did, or I have to turn this guy back into a truck and keep him on the shelf that way. But he looks good for what he is. He looks like the Earthrise figure. He doesn't have the gas cans on the backs of his thighs anymore, because that's just not there. He still has the butt wheels, and he's just not covered in greeblies. But I do think he looks cool. I like the color distribution. It's it's very basic in that it's just black plastic, light gray plastic, and then a little bit of that metallic teal in the waist, and technically silver in like the midriff section, but that's just a solid piece. And also the gas cans, the smokestacks. You do get a little bit of color though in the chest with the silver for the windshield wipers and the turquoise for the lights, but it is very basic. But this is also a very cheap figure, especially for its size. The head is interesting. I've seen some discussion, I think it was on TFW, where people were pointing out this basically looks like they knocked off the MP44 head. It's a very strange choice. I guess it's to go with that more G1 cartoon aesthetic that they were trying to pull off with this adaptation of the mold, but it's a little weird. This is not my preferred head for a Nemesis Prime, but I have so many Nemesis Primes that it's fine. It's not ideal, but then virtually nothing about this figure is ideal other than the fact that it's finally a black repaint of a fashion of the Earthrise mold. The dark gunmetal that they used, while I do think it thematically fits for a Nemesis, it's a little too dark on the black, and it just makes a lot of the facial detail hard to see, even under actual lighting, which is kind of meh. But the sculpt is nice for what it is and for what it's trying to homage. They've got the red eyes, which look good. They even did a little bit of the head crest, which is nice. Now, articulation is a bit of a bummer, at least on the head, because you'd think it's an oversized reworking of the Earthrise mold. They took the time to copy the MP44 head. You would expect there to be some decent articulation on this thing, but no. It spins left and right, and that is it. The head, despite how it looks, it does not move up and down at all. It does not go side to side at all. It's just a swivel. The shoulders are the same as Earthrise Prime shoulders. They can rotate all the way around. They can go in and out. You also have to be careful of the boxy corners of these shoulders because they can kind of get hung up on either the joint itself or the torso. But I feel like that was a thing that happened with the original Earthrise mold too. You do get backwards butterfly, and when I first got this thing, oh boy. Yeah, see what that one arm is doing? Both arms were doing that, but it was like floppy. Like, it would just be like that immediately as soon as I picked it up. And this is after I did a bunch of tightening, so yeah, this is not great. And we'll get to that too when we get to the legs. You do get a bicep rotation, you get a 90-degree elbow bend, you get wrist swivels, and the hands open. It's the four fingers are on a single pin, but that's, it's the Earthrise figure, basically. You get that waist rotation, which can go around. It's just when it gets to about here, it hits the bit on the back with the wheels, so you can it kind of gets out of the way, but when you do that, it also pushes these out. So it's a lot of stuff to be aware of. Also, these wheels were very loose. These I tightened up a bit, and these are at least staying. Yeah, a lot of tightening on this. Then the inward and outward motion. It is ratcheted, and doesn't really matter that it's ratcheted. You get hip skirts that can go out. Its legs can go out, and you notice it is drooping. This is, again, after doing a bunch of tightening, because before I did the tightening, ratchets didn't matter. It was just like straight back down. So the tightening has helped, but it's still not great. Same goes for the forward and backward hip motion. It can go forward a little bit past 90, but it just sinks back down. And same deal on the other leg. And this is after I tightened it a bunch. It's better than it was, slightly. And then it can go back that far before the hips basically, or it's actually the top of the hip banging into the midriff piece here. You get thigh rotation, which is a little loose, but it's thigh rotation, that's fine. Then you also get ratcheted kind of knees that go a little bit past 90. And then for the ankles, you get nice ankle tilt, you get heels and toes that move. Now, the heels and toes aren't as solid as I would like, but they get the job done. This guy he's not expensive, so it's, I'm not super annoyed by the issues with articulation on this guy, specifically joint tolerances, but he's a bit floppy and a little bit annoying to pose because of it. He does come with some accessories, unfortunately. So he has his Energon axe in teal, and for what it is, it looks good. Has a really big peg on the end, and he has to hold it. Despite what you might think, there is no way to plug this into his hand. Like, if you fold the hand in, like this doesn't plug in. There's no peg hole. You can't just have the axe coming out of his forearm. Instead, you put it into his hand, and he just holds it. Honestly, I feel like this would be fine if they just used a different shape for the Energon axe. If it was just like a regular axe shape and didn't taper out into a ball like this. This is probably taken from the Studio Series 86 mold and just blown up. But if this didn't taper off like this, or taper out, and end in this big bulb, it would look fine. It'd look like he's holding an energy axe. This just looks really awkward. But not as awkward as the rifle. So this thing, it's a Zion blaster. It's molded well enough. It's got 2 pegs on either side, like the peg on either side for some weird reason, so you can peg it onto his back. You can store it there if you want. The peg hole pegs aren't like super snug, but it stays. Problem being, the fist is a whatever millimeter that is hole. And there goes the arm. This handle is not a peg. So you put this into his hand, and you close the fingers around it, and he holds it, but it's just being held in place by his fingers, and it's not in there. So posing him with the rifle is very difficult to get him to look decent. This is with his fingers closed all the way. I'm holding them closed, and this is still sliding up and down. It doesn't wiggle too much if the fingers are closed tightly, but when you move the arm, you've got that chance of things getting knocked out of place, and this does not hold super well. So this is the most annoying thing for me. It's just the way they did the accessories. It's very subpar, let's say. But he's a big boy. I seem to have collected an Astrid. But yes, he is absolutely gigantic. When I ordered this thing, I was thinking, you know, he's going to be MP size. This is not MP size. This is a good couple inches taller than that. This guy is a foot tall. He is about as tall as an unmodified Legacy Menasor. You got to give this guy room, which is why he's probably going to be living in truck mode for a while. I lost my Astrid. My take on this knockoff is it's very clearly a knockoff. I wish it was handled better, but it wasn't. But it also wasn't all that expensive, especially considering the size. The really bad accessory handling I can deal with. I could just not use the accessories because I don't care that much about them, but it's just the joints are not great. For what this is, I like it. I like finally having an Earthrise Nemesis Prime, because that's something I've been waiting on forever, and I don't think we're ever going to get it. I'd love to be wrong, but if this is what I gotta make do with, then it's fine. Thankfully, I've got an almost entire bookcase dedicated to Nemesis Prime, so I have at least some place to put him. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about this. I've gone on long enough. So thank you everybody for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I do enjoy hearing from you all. This is a little awkward, but I'm just kind of running on fumes at this point because it's been a long September. But again, thank you everybody for watching. Let me know what you think. This guy's weird, but I kind of like him in a not great toy kind of way. We're capping off Nemesis September 2025 with this thing and this lackluster video. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for taking part in Nemesis September, if I didn't say that already. If you don't watch any of my other videos, you're only here for Nemesis September, then I'll see you next year. If you're here for other videos, then I will see you in whatever the next video ends up being. I got a few figures I'm really interested in writing scripts for. I just need to get around to doing that.